Hey guys, Daniel Lehman, president of the Lehman Group, coming to you for this week's newsletter. Wanted to talk about a couple things. First thing being this week's action in the mortgage-backed security market, which is directly proportional to interest rates. Today, Tuesday, 44 basis points increase in mortgage-backed securities in the Fannie Mae 6% mortgage-backed security, which means bonds go up. Mortgage-backed securities go up, interest rates come down. So tomorrow we'll be seeing a lot better interest rates. And basically what governs this is economic news. So a general rule is anytime there's bad economic news, it's good for interest rates. Anytime there's good economic news, it's bad for interest rates, meaning it makes interest rates go up. Second part that I wanted to talk about was I had a bunch of questions about Countrywide and Bank of America and a lot of these lenders that are coming on TV and saying no points, no fees, no points, no fees, no points, no fees. And what is a no points, no fees? Well, in those cases, they are clever marketing. No points, no fees means you pay a higher interest rate and you get the fees and points and everything paid for you by the bank. So I kind of wanted to take a little bit of the mystery out of this and go through a hypothetical situation. Take this scenario. Say you're doing a $400,000 loan. Say your value is $500,000. So there's, you're refinancing and you've got an 80% loan to value, new loan amount to value of the house, which is $500,000. And say you got good credit, good everything else. I'll just go by 720 FICO. I'll go by today's interest rates. I looked up today's interest rates and what this actual scenario would be, so you can get a feel for, okay, this is kind of what interest rates are doing also. So what you do is say we talk about your goals, and you're only going to be in this property for another 4 years, and it's probably about a 4-year time frame, and not much longer than that, because the kids are getting out of school. You're going to downsize, whatever's happening. Basically what we would look at, we would look at the product first. We probably wouldn't do a 30-year fix because that's a much higher interest cost than maybe a 5-year fix. And we do a 5-year fix because the first 5 years is in a 5-year fixed is the same as the first 5 years in a 30-year fixed, but it'll carry a much lower interest rate. So today you would have a choice. We would say 5-year fixed, interest only. Say we were doing that. And so this would be how it works. At 5.75%, you would have a payment of $19.16. But what you would have to do is you would pay a point to get that. It's called paying a point to buy down the interest rate. If you walked into the bank, you'd pay a point to the bank, and it would go to the bank. If you walked in here, you would pay a point to us, and we would take you to the wholesale 5.75 rate. That is the rate where the bank's not paying us anything back. So you're paying a point to drop your interest rate to 5.75. So that's paying a point, paying 1 point. If you didn't want to pay a point, what would happen is you wouldn't pay the point. Your interest rate would go up to 6 1/4. We would say, okay, 6 1/4 is your interest rate, not paying a point. What that really means is at the bank it just means you're not paying a point because they have all this worked in already. What it means for us is you're not paying me a point because the bank, for me sending it to that bank for 6.25, it's the same 6.25 you'd get if you walked into the bank, but that 6.25, the bank is going to give us the 1% that we make. So the bank is going to credit us back 1% or pay us a rebate as brokers of 1%. So there's the huge mystery behind everything. You either pay us the point to bring the rate down to par so the bank's not paying anything back, or you leave the rate with no points and you bring it up, and the bank pays us the money back, and we make the 1% gross each time. So the difference is 6 1/4, no points. 5.75, 1 point. So what does that mean? The difference in payment between the paying a point and not paying a point is $167. Your payment on a 6 1/4 for 6.25 with no points is $2,083. Payment at 1 point is $19.16. So the difference is $167. So what you want to do is, in mortgage planning, this is what we do. We look at that, we make sure the program fits first, and then we take it and we say points versus not points. Do we pay a point, do we don't? And it's a function of how long you're going to be in the loan itself. this particular situation, like we said, 4 years max. We're going to be in the house for four more years, and that's about it. So we look at the difference. We look at the cost of the point first. Cost of the point, $4,000. Difference in payment, point versus no point, $167. If we divide that 167 into that 4,000, what we come up with is a monthly figure, is a number of months. In this case, 23.95, about 2 years, 24 months. So what that means is 24 months from now, if you were to do the loan today and pay that point, your savings will break even with the point you paid. So that threshold is very important, because if you plan on staying it for 2 months, why pay the point? You'll save $167 a month, about $300 and something dollars, $315, but you've paid $4,000 to do it. If you're going to stay in it for 4 years, you probably want to pay the point, because you'll make up that $4,000 in the first 2 years, and then in the 24th or the 25th month, you'll start saving money to the tune of $167 a month thereafter. So if you do stay in it an extra 2 years, you've actually saved, over that 4-year period, you've saved about $4,000 by paying the $4,000 up front. And if you didn't, it's a different story. That's the threshold you want to look at. No points, no fees, is basically, we bump the rate even further. And this is the same thing that Countrywide will do, or Bank of America will do, or anything else. They'll raise their benchmark so that they make more of a yield, they make more money on it, and then they just take that money and they credit it to you and pay the closing costs. If an appraiser comes to your house, they're still going to charge you. You're still doing a title fee. You're still doing an escrow. You're still doing all this stuff. It's not like these people are all of a sudden saying, you know what, we work for Countrywide, we're going to work for free. This is, we're not going to charge it. It's ridiculous. What they do is, what we would do, okay, 5.75 is 1 point, paying a point. 6 1/4 is paying no points. 6.625 today would pay me back not 1. 6 1/4 would pay me back 1, and that's what we make. 6.625 would pay back 1.625, and that 0.625, I would take my 1 still, and then that 0.625% times $400,000 is about $2,500. $2,500 being about the amount of the closing costs, I just credit you those closing costs. So now you have what's called a no points, no fees refinance. And that's how these purchases work, and that's how everything else works. And if you look at it, on the Countrywide commercials, on the Bank of America commercials, where they say no fees, no points, no this and that, they don't talk anything about interest rate. And you can go on and you can kind of see that they're talking only about how much can you save, how much can you save. Oh, you can save so much because you're not paying fees. But in reality, if you're going to keep that loan for a long period of time, that 6.625 payment is $2,208. So that's even $125 more. That's what, $290, something like $290 more than if you would have paid the point. So if you're doing a long-term 30-year fixed or something, you're going to break even in no time and start, you're going to start paying around $300 more than you should be paying in a proper planning environment. So just keep that in mind. If you're, as a general rule, if you're staying in the property for a long period of time, you want to pay points. If you're staying in for a very short period of time, don't pay points, because your savings will never recoup those costs. So that's things to keep in mind when you're planning for your mortgage, and hopefully we can be a part of that. And we'll always keep it in your best interest, always thinking about your situation and never our pocketbook. So, and that's it for this week. Hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon.